Welcome in, One Nation, to another episode of A Thing or Two About a Thing or Two. TJ Wingard here with you today, joined by grad student and member of the men's soccer team, Nick Foley. Nick, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Nick, you were hyped up with your academic side before the season by Coach Yeager. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but let's first talk about what you did as an undergrad before now in the PA system or program here at Lynchburg. So what was your undergrad degree?
Biology.
Cool, gotcha. And was that something you always wanted to go into that? Or was it something that, hey, once you got to Lynchburg, hey, biology's pretty cool, let me just go in that direction?
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to do PA school going into undergrad, so there wasn't a pre-PA program here, so biology was the direction that I decided to take. And luckily for me, I never switched in between majors, so I was able to hit all of my prereqs pretty early, and it's pretty smooth.
Gosh, so it's a 2-year program with the PA program, right? So what are you, learning? What are you getting ready for? What are some of the things you do on a day-to-day basis, basically?
Oh, man. You got enough time for all this?
Yeah.
But no, we learn a lot, and I think that's probably the hardest thing about PA school is just the sheer bulk of information that we're given each and every day. Typical day is 8 to 5 every single day except Fridays. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, it's a typical class day. We have typically about 6 or 7 different classes, and then on Tuesdays we have lab days. Those consist of sim lab, where we have this sim man where somebody in another room can control the sim man, and it can affect its eyes, it can blink, it can affect its heart rate, respiration rate, and every week there's something brand new. So it's a little nervous walking in, but the more we've done it, we've gotten used to it, and it's really fun. It's really challenging.
Well, that's got to be at least reassuring, because one, you're getting taught all this stuff, and it's a lot of different things, but then you at least get one day a week where you don't know what's going to be, but you get to at least apply what you've learned and get some hands-on experience in that realm.
Yeah, it's always good to get hands-on experience compared to just getting taught all the time, but it's also really good to get some teamwork because we're in groups of 4 or 5, so it's really nice to have somebody right there going through the same thing with you at the same time. So
yeah, absolutely. So before the years, I mentioned Coach Yeager. I was kind of asking for some, descriptions, how do players play, where will I see them line up, et cetera, et cetera. And he was like, well, when you see Nick. And I said, well, when? He's a grad student, he's a team captain, what do you mean when? And he started to explain the PA program just a little bit. And I was like, okay. So there have been a couple of games where you haven't been able to play because of this PA program. What is that like? I mean, that's got to be such a tough line for you to walk.
It's really, really difficult being without the guys on those certain days. But I've been very clear going into this position that, school is the top priority right now. And the PA school is very, very serious about attendance.
Yeah.
And so far I haven't been able to miss any class. I haven't asked for any absences yet. But the Atlanta trip that we had was over the weekend, and they left on a Thursday, and I just simply couldn't miss class on that day. And then there was a game at 4 on a Wednesday away that I was just unable to come to. So it's really hard on me because I want to be with those guys each and every minute that I can, but I gotta know my boundaries sometimes. So.
No, totally. And I mean, it helps. You have Griffin, who's been really good this year. Josh Auger's been a nice fill-in for you when they've needed it too, so that definitely helps. But yeah, now we're getting to the interesting point of the year. ODAX, NCAA's right around the corner, but this is the academic podcast. I'll have you on for Hive, and we'll talk more about the team overall. But
yeah, but on that note, it definitely helps having 2 guys that I can trust back there.
Totally.
Especially Josh. I mean, he's the ODAC champion. Me and him won the ODAC championship last year, and then Griffin his actions have spoken for himself this year. So. Both of those guys have been really impressive, and it's been great.
Yeah. So are you in year 1 of the program?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So is there a difference between year 1, year 2, and then what is that post? You got your degree, you're ready to go. What does that look like afterwards?
Yeah, so the first year, it's considered the didactic year. It's all classroom stuff.
Okay.
And then the second year, we go into our rotations. So it's completely out of the classroom for the main part, and we go into each specialty for about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on which one it is, and we get to experience each specialty. So it's really nice being able to learn each specialty that we're in for the module that we're in, and then next year going out and actually experiencing it. So
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. And then again, it goes back to what we were just talking about, getting real world experience and learning on the fly and things that come with that. So after you graduate, is there any places in specific you're looking at, or are you just saying, hey, wherever I can get a job, that's where I want to go? Or?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, rotations will be really important. I mean, I can learn anything out of a textbook, but once I go and actually experience it, actually see something right in front of me, that's when I think I'll really know, hey, I really like this, or hey, maybe not. With my athletic background, I know right now I really like orthopedics.
Oh, sure.
So I'm interested to see how that is in the real world, but I'm definitely keeping all my options open.
Yeah.
So.
And what are some of those rotations?
So there's cardiology, which we just finished up. Very, very tough.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Reading EKGs is not fun. There's also pediatrics, primary care, OBGYN.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you guys. So when you say keeping your doors open, you're talking about there's a wide array of
I think there's 9 specialties. I'm not positive.
Okay, sounds good. Well, it's no test, so you don't have to be worried about that. Cool. So, Nick, you had mentioned that you always wanted to go into the PA program. Once you got to Lynchburg, you knew that's what you want to do. What about the PA program was, so intriguing and made you say, hey, that's what I know I want to do?
Yeah, so I'll give a quick little background of why I want to go into PA school in the first place. Growing up, I knew I wanted to do something related to medicine. I like helping people, and it just perked my interest. And between 6th and 7th grade, I actually tore my ACL, and it was one of the, if not the most devastating event in my life. And I just remember during that experience, the difference between the doctor that I was seeing and the PA was a big difference to me. And the PA that was with me really acted like he cared for me. He was very personal with me and was able to have that type of relationship with me. So after meeting him and having that experience with him, I said, you know what, I want to be able to do that with somebody one day and help them in that same way, make them feel better.
That's awesome.
But yeah, with Lynchburg's PA school specifically, my undergrad, I have no complaints about at all. I absolutely love Lynchburg. I'm one of the biggest Lynchburg fans. So applying for the PA program at Lynchburg was a no-brainer. And once I got that call that I got in, there was no way I was going to consider anything else.
Awesome. And does that then lead into, once you got the extra year of eligibility because of COVID, was it just like a, hey, no-brainer, I can play another year, sign me up for that? Or was there any sort of delay in that decision process?
Yeah, so that's actually a really funny thing that happened at the beginning of my time at PA school. So I told myself, I've got this year, I'm gonna try it, and if it's too much, then I can always stop. That was always my mindset. And we at the Lynchburg PA school, they really emphasize the relationship between the first years and the second years. And when we're starting to meet everybody, introducing ourselves, and you tell the second years, hey, I'm considering playing soccer in our first year, and they're like, what? What are you crazy? Why would you even consider that? And I'm like, I'm gonna try it. Like, you can't convince me that I'm not gonna try it, but I don't know. I think I could do it. I don't think it's gonna be unmanageable, but if it is, then we'll see. And so far, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is not easy.
Sure.
But it's been really nice to have along with my PA school adventure.
No,
it has.
No doubt. So what does a normal day look like? I mean, because 8 to 5, that sounds like enough for me. Like I with 7 classes, you got the random thing you're walking into on Tuesdays, you don't know what you're about to experience. That sounds like enough for me. But then after that, you have practice, you have games, you have whatever may be on your plate. What does a normal day for Nick Foley look like?
Yeah, so I typically wake up at 7:30 or earlier if I need to, get to school around 8. Lunchtime is usually just time for studying if there's a quiz coming up after the lunch block. So classes / studying till 5. Practice is either from 4 to 6, 6 to 8, or 8 to 10. And the 4 to 6 practices aren't ideal for me because I only get to the second half.
Sure.
But that's been something that the coaches have been phenomenal about. They've been really understanding. They've communicated really well with me as long as I'm communicating really well with them. So I can't thank them enough for all that they've done. So if I have practice from 4 to 6, then I eat dinner, I shower, and then I basically study until it's time to go to sleep. Or if I have practice from 6 to 8 or 8 to 10, I try to study as much as I can before practice, and then go to practice and try and breathe after practice.
Yeah, there's no shortage of things for you to do, it sounds like.
No.
Man, that is unbelievable. Well, it's been great having you on and talking about the PA programs. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I think if anybody has any questions or anything about possibly going and doing what I'm doing in PA school, I think it's really important, number one, to have a good relationship with your coaches that will be able to not only understand why you may not be able to come to certain things, but also work with you in a way that it doesn't add more stress onto your life. And then on the flip side, the PA school has to be willing to see you not only go through those days like you have that are going to be worse than others, but be able to keep your grades up and be able to juggle both. So yeah, if anybody ever wants to reach out to me, feel free to. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me, and thank you all for checking out this episode of A Thing or Two About a Thing or Two. Be sure to come back next week when we have a new episode for you. Till then, we are signing off.